During South by Southwest, an Austin police officer was caught on camera pepper spraying a man who was already in handcuffs and already seated in a cop car with the door closed. Take a look at this video.
I'll tell you about taking the door. I'll tell you about taking the door. I told you.
Wow, you asshole! I saw that. I got that on film, you abusive asshole. Why don't you let him out so he can breathe?
He's under arrest, man.
Yeah, I know. Can you, like, keep him under arrest out where he can breathe? You sprayed pepper spray.
Fighting us for like 20 minutes.
Oh, you poor baby. And that guy pepper sprayed him at close range and shut the door.
Fuck the police! Fuck the police!
Now, the Austin Police Department has launched an investigation into Cameron Caldwell, who is the police officer who's featured in that video. Now, just to give you guys some context, now the police department's code lists a number of cases in which chemical agents such as pepper spray shouldn't be used, including when a subject is under physical restraint, unless the subject is still aggressively resisting and lesser means of controlling the subject have failed. The code requires that officers also ensure that someone who has been sprayed remain upright with a clear airway to avoid possible positional asphyxiation. Now, obviously, as you saw in that video, the person was already handcuffed. They had already restrained him. He still sprayed him with pepper spray, and then he fell over backwards. And so, again, totally against the code here. I hope this officer faces severe punishment for what he did here.
So the guy seemed to get back up, but you know, I don't know what the effect of pepper sprays is if there's no windows and you just lock someone in there with the pepper spray. I don't know. I'm not at all convinced that those cops had studied that, right? So I'd be a little concerned if I was the cop, but then I care about people. So I don't know. He said, oh, we've been dealing with this guy for 20 minutes. Actually, if you weren't abusive to him, we would be on your side. That's a pain in the ass to deal with somebody for 20 minutes and he's still kicking the door. And so we're not unaware of that. We get that, right? But you know, and I'm positive they'll make the argument that, well, he was under physical restraint, but he was still aggressively resisting because he was kicking the door. Come on, dude.
No.
When you have someone handcuffed, don't pepper spray him. It's not that hard a rule. It's not that complicated. He's handcuffed. He's not going anywhere. He's in the back of your police van. And so you're annoyed with him. That's why you pepper sprayed him. Not because you need to get him further under control. You already handcuffed him. Everybody knows that.
Right.
But they're going to deny. And I mean, I don't know how Austin is. We've covered some stories out of Austin that were not good in the past. And maybe that's why they have these folks who are taping the police in the first place. And you'll have the idiot right-wingers who will probably get more mad at the chant at the end than they will in the abuse in the first place. But the bottom line is, if you got the guy handcuffed, don't go to other extreme measures. You know you don't have to.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I mean, I was at South by Southwest last year. You were there this year. It is just total mayhem. So I can understand that the police are probably under a lot of stress during this time. They're probably making a lot of rest, and they're probably annoyed. Like you mentioned, you had to deal with him for 20 minutes. But once you already have him in handcuffs and the door's closed, I don't know if he was kicking the door, right? But even if he was, that's not a reason to pepper spray somebody. You mean like, dude, like quit it. Or restrain his feet or something like that. There are other options to go to before pepper spraying, closing the door. And she even called him on that like bullshit response.
That door looks pretty solid. I think the door's going to be all right. And if you want to charge him with another crime, if he breaks the door, you know, destruction of property, I get it, right?
Totally.
He's kicking the door, etc., right? If you're right about that. But you don't get to abuse the person who you already have under restraint because you're annoyed. That's just not how it works. By the way, you're right. I was at South by in Austin just really recently.
Yeah.
And I was on FaceTime with my family. And I was showing them all the different things. And then there was some cops nearby, just normal, like making sure everybody's all right. And I had a cop on camera, and it looked like I was taping him, but I was actually just FaceTiming with my family, right? And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, uh-oh, am I going to be in trouble here, right? And he's like, oh, man, I love your show. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So that made me partial to the Austin cops, but we still can't have this. Okay, don't pepper spray somebody if you got them handcuffed. It's an easy rule.